What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be making the final video talking about my 2008 Nissan 350Z. For those of you who haven't seen the video, I did sell the car back to the dealership. I go into the entire story and the whole situation. Video is down in the description below in case you missed it. I've been reading the comments on that video. A lot of you are supportive of the whole situation. A lot of you are sad to see it go or even subscribed for the Z. And I do appreciate you subscribing even though I don't have the car anymore. Personally for me, I enjoyed that car. I had it 2 months, which is really not a whole lot of time. I wasn't able to do a whole lot of mods to it simply because of the situation that was going on in the background. But it was a fun car. I miss it already. It was definitely a good platform and project car for the channel. But unfortunately, you know, money is more important than having the car for me. And so, not to say that money is the most important thing in the world, just with the situation, I didn't want to come out kind of upside down or lose more money. I was able to get all of my money back. So I had to part with the car for that reason. It was kind of a bad situation. So, had to get rid of the car. Hopefully I can get back into one at some point. I'm not sure yet. But I do appreciate all the supportive comments on that video, just with the whole situation. I can put it behind me. So basically in today's video, what I want to talk about is what it was like to own that car for 2 months. Now I know 2 months is, you know, there's not even an oil change in owning the car for 2 months. So if you are interested in buying a car like this will kind of just give you a breakdown of what it's potentially like to have and what it cost me and all the financing and everything like that. It is a very popular car. A lot of people like the 350Z. And they are very hard cars to find. I was looking actually earlier this morning just to browse, just to see if there were any other cars that I could potentially get. The only car that I found that was kind of worth going to look at was the car that I sold back to the dealer. So they're very hard to find. I'm either finding automatics or manual roadsters, and obviously I want a manual coupe. So they are very hard to find. If I do get another one, it might not be right away. I did finance this car. I put about $1,500 down, and the sales price, or the amount that I financed, was $9,875. The car was just over $10,000. 2008 had 87,000 miles on it roughly when I bought it. Some could argue that was a little expensive. I did get a little bit of a discount or negotiation with some other factors, so I didn't pay technically their full asking price. I took out 60-month loan on it just to get the cheapest monthly payment. Since I knew I wasn't going to have the car for that long, that just made the most sense to not have to make, you know, a more expensive payment than I needed to. The total interest on the car was $1,843 for the entire 60 months. That does seem a bit expensive for a $10,000 car. The percentage rate that was on it was 6.8%, which is, I think that is a crazy amount. And for my history, my loan history, that is pretty steep. That is more interest than I pay on my 2010 Audi R8, which is a significantly larger loan than this car. So let's see, total amount after all payments would have been $11,718. So just shy of 12 grand if I had the car 60 months and I paid all of that interest, and including my down payment, I'd be just over $13,000. So I think that's a pretty good chunk, almost $3,000 with interest and the down payment included over 60 months. But if it's a car that you want to keep for that long, they don't really depreciate. If you're going to sell this car after, you know, 3 to 5 years of ownership, you're not really going to lose that much. Sure, you've kind of lost your down payment and the interest that you've put into the car. If you sell it for around 10 grand, you know, you're kind of down that $3,000 or so, which is really not all that much. 3 grand to own a car for, you know, 3 to 5 years if you do end up selling it. So you're not really going to lose all that much other than maintenance and other costs like that. The way that I had everything laid out here, my monthly payment was just under $200, which to me was pretty affordable. YouTube was helping to pay that, and that was the whole point from my perspective with this car, having a project car. Can YouTube help fund that car? So that's why I went with the lowest payment so that I could kind of recoup that back from YouTube. So if you're looking to get into a 350Z, you can find them anywhere between I was finding $8,000-9,000 if you're lucky, and then obviously it can go up to $20,000 depending on how many miles are on the car and the year. So you're going to be looking around the $10,000 mark, and then obviously your interest rate and how much you finance on all that is basically up to you, how your loan history has been, how much you put down on the car. And I just had to put a little bit of skin in the game basically with the $1,500 that I put down on the car. I had 2 other open auto loans, which I really didn't want to do. So I'm kind of glad that I did get rid of the car just for that reason. And that's probably why I had a little bit higher interest rate. There's many factors that I really won't go into in this video that will determine all of those numbers for you. But let's go ahead and move on to what I put into the car. Obviously, I didn't have any oil changes or anything like that. I only put about 550 or so miles on the car in the 2 months. I really didn't want to drive it all that much. It was mainly just a kind of a garage driveway project car. Not put a whole lot of miles on it, just do all the mods, and which I didn't get to obviously. But I did a lot of paint work, a lot of body work to the car, so it was actually in better shape than when I bought it from the dealership, which I kind of hate. I gave them a better car, better overall condition than when I got it, but that's how it went. I spent about $150 in paint and then $75 in gas. Kind of irrelevant if you're getting a car, obviously you have to put gas in it. So I really didn't spend all that much on the car. And then YouTube, because it's a project car, it's something that we need to create revenue on. So from a business perspective, the Project 350Z was actually going in a positive direction. We were making money off of the car for the few videos that the car was in. It made us about 60,000 views or so with all the videos that it was filmed with. And so that's pretty good for me. That makes me want to get another Project 350Z because I had fun with it. I had fun learning how to do all the body work. It's not something that I've really focused on a whole lot. And so I fixed the bumper, I fixed the A-pillar, the strut brace cover had cracks in it, and I was able to fix all those cracks, paint it, getting it back to looking like it was from the factory. I had body colored paint, and it looked really good, in my opinion, for not being a professional at that. And I love showing you guys the DIY projects, how to do something yourself. You can save a lot of money doing it yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're cheaping out or you're cutting costs just to be cheap. It's showing you can do this yourself. You don't have to pay hundreds of thousands. You don't have to pay a couple $100s or whatever it may be for the project. So I do miss that aspect of it. And hopefully, based on these numbers, I can get into another 350 at some point. So let's move on to insurance, because I know insurance is a huge question that a lot of you guys ask us, especially with our other vehicles like the GTR, the R8, and the Tacoma. And insurance is something that's not tricky, but there are so many factors and variables to get you the price of your insurance and whatever car that you have. So the state that you live in is a big factor. If you've had any accidents, tickets, what's your driving history like, and basically there's some other factors in that. But the insurance on my 2008 Nissan 350Z was $253.94, and that was for 6 months. So you're looking at just under $600 for the year, and that was with full coverage. I went with the lowest amounts on things like underinsured and uninsured motorist, and things like bodily injury and everything like that, because the car was worth, or I paid 10 grand for it, it was probably worth a little bit less than that. The lowest amounts of coverage I think were around 25 grand, which was plenty enough for a car at this price point. And I did go with the highest deductible. So I went with a $1,000 deductible. Had I gone with a $50 deductible, the payment per month would have gone from $253 to $335. So that's about an $82 difference. When you multiply that by 12, you're spending roughly, well, that's going to be closer to $900 more for a year than having the highest deductible at $1,000. Now, if you're not caught up with what the deductible means, that basically means if you're in an accident or you have to get a towing or something like that, you are responsible for the first $1,000. Now that is a lot of money, but at the same time, I'm not spending that $900 difference. I can save that $1,000 in a year, technically, if nothing goes wrong. So let's say you have the car for a year, you have the $1,000 deductible and nothing goes wrong. You have $1,000 extra that you've saved in your bank account. If you go with the $50 deductible, you're spending about $900 more. If nothing goes wrong, you've spent $900 more than the $1,000 that you're able to save if you have the highest deductible. So having the highest deductible means that you have a lower payment per month, but it also means that you are taking a risk. If you have something, let's say you have a $500 worth of damage to your car, that comes out of your pocket. Insurance will not cover that until it goes over that $1,000, and you are responsible for the first $1,000. So I can see that being a little bit, I don't want to say scary for some people, but $1,000 is still a lot of money. And just to compare this car to my 2017 Tacoma and 2010 R8, for 6 months my Tacoma is $326 and the R8 is $418. If the 350Z, if you have the $50 deductible, you're paying $335 for 6 months versus $326 for a 2017 Tacoma. You're actually spending more money for a older vehicle. It can be cheap on this car. It can be, I think, pretty expensive, that it's the same as my pickup truck, but it is a sports car. There's a lot of salvage title vehicles that I have found for sale. So it's a car that statistically gets into a lot of accidents or have salvage titles, which does increase the insurance on it a bit. So for me, I think it is pretty expensive to own this car based on the numbers of my other vehicles. So overall, those are the numbers on the 350Z. Again, I didn't go into a whole lot of detail simply because I only had the car 2 months, but hopefully that just kind of gives you some insight as what it would be like to own this car as far as purchasing the car and all of those numbers and everything like that, if you are interested in buying a 350Z. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and stay tuned. We have the Supra coming. We should be collecting that tomorrow or the next day. C8 is going to be sometime in the beginning of next year. And we do have new merchandise. Link will be in the description below. I just got my new Tacoma logo here in the mail the other day. Absolutely love it. And it really helps us out, so definitely check out our link in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.